Hey there, Allie here, functional medicine nutritionist. So today I want to answer the question, how many calories should you be eating today? Definitely a loaded question. So I wanted to give you my input on how I do this for clients. And this is a resource that I've put together for this to explain this. So there's two ways you can do it. You can use a calculation, so a generic equation to figure that out. I actually prefer to do this a little bit by hand. The equations are helpful feedback, but I like to get kind of a pulse on what clients are eating at that particular time. So when a new client comes to me, I ask them to track their food for at least 7 days. So we get some weekend days in there, hopefully up to 10 days. So this is just an example I kind of put together. So they would track their food in an app called Chronometer. This is what it looks like. You can use either the website or the app version, but I'm a big fan of it, but that's for another day. And then they would enter their information. So on the first day, maybe they ate 100 grams of protein, 220 grams of carbs, 90 grams of fat, fiber, overall calories, etc. And then they would have their daily weights. Now, my clients aren't weighing themselves every single day, but for this intake week, it's really, really helpful because for one, when you start to track your food, you often eat a little bit less because you're way more mindful about what you are eating. So that's really important for me to know. If you start tracking your food and it's like, oh, if I don't know that this is a deficit for you, I might shrink your calories a little bit more if weight loss is your goal. But so I do need to know if you do start to steadily lose weight while eating an average of X amount of calories. So you'll enter this for five days or so. We'll see the averages, which for weight loss, we are looking at averages on the week. We don't care about having perfect days. And then I can kind of make some suggestions from there. So basically you can use this first tab here. We have the equations and then we have by hand. So you're just going to enter your information here and it will auto-populate to the second page as well, saving you time. So let's do this by hand first. This is your average intake for the week. And if we want to take that, so this is an average of 1900 calories. And if I want to create a calorie deficit for weight loss, I can take 10 to 15% if I want a mild calorie deficit, 20 to 25% calories off of that if I want a moderate calorie deficit for weight loss, or if I want to go really aggressive, I'm taking 30 to 35% of those calories down if this was my maintenance. Remember, I'm already losing weight. Say this is me. I'm already losing weight at this particular amount of calories. So again, that's really important to realize and to track your food initially when you are tracking your food and tracking your body weight. So this is already a calorie deficit for this particular person because they're starting to see weight loss at average of 17 calories for the week. So this is already a calorie deficit. So I would not want to take 30 to 35% away from this because this is already a calorie deficit. So say this is maintenance. Say I maintain this same week all week long. Then I would subtract one of these percentages and that would give me a target calorie for weight loss. So again, you need to see where you're at. You need to see if that's a calorie deficit for you. If you do just want to maintain and weight loss is not a goal, so say my maintenance calories are 2000 calories, and so you just want to optimize your macros. Macros are your macronutrients, so protein, carbs, and fat, and you want to create more balance. Maybe you need to increase your protein so you're not hungry all the time. You want to maintain or build muscle mass, work hard in the gym, etc. Then we want to optimize, and so we can jump to here. So say my maintenance calories are around 2000 calories. If I want to go with a generic split here, 33% protein, 35% carbs, 33% fat, then it's going to spit out the grams. Okay, so this is really important. Grams are way more important than percentages, but this is a very basic way to determine those. If you are a little bit more advanced and you want to specifically build muscle or maintain muscle and you are a more advanced training age, so you've been lifting, you've been working out for a little bit, this is where you should start. Optimizing macros by grams. This is really helpful. So this is going to go off your body weight. You're probably a healthy body weight if you fit into this category. And we want to have a minimum of 0.85 grams of protein per pound of body weight with a maximum of 1.22. So this is going to give me a range since I put my body weight as 145. Let's just see this change. So let's change it to 140 and watch things change. So this means I'm going to set my protein in my app to about 119 to 171 as a maximum. Now, if you want to be a little bit more specific, I would probably go in the middle here and just do a simple 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And that's easy math. It's about 140 grams. And then from there, it will just calculate if I, again, want to stick to 2000 calories, that's my protein range. And then it will do the math for me. So carbs and fat doesn't matter too much. This fat recommendation here is kind of a minimum here. So 0.3. This is again based off your body weight. So a minimum of 42 grams of fat per day, and then you can go up to 70. And then again, this is filling in the carbs here. So you can kind of, carbs and fat don't matter quite as much versus protein and overall calories. That's more of an important driver. And again, if you want to plan your week, there are so many strategies to weight loss. This is just a common pattern I wanted to highlight for many people. Let's see if I can make this head bigger. Maybe. Because a lot of people thrive on routine Monday through Thursday, and then they want to have a little bit more fun or have some different food on the weekends. So this is a very common split that I'll do for clients. So Monday through Thursday, very routine calories. Most of their meals are meal prepped or pretty routine. So we have these, if this is a weight loss client or there's someone wanting to lean out, this would be a little bit leaner on the carb side of things, and they want to have a little bit more fun food over the weekend or Friday through Sunday. So this allows for a bigger budget. But again, if this is a weight loss client, their average calories for the week is what's going to drive their weight loss. So this is really just having a low day and a high day, basically, is what we're going for. So this is just one example. You can mix this up. This is kind of how carb cycling works. It's usually just different calorie allotments or carb allotments for different days. Totally up to the person, but this is one. You could absolutely do, if this is 1771 is what we needed to see a weight loss, you could do this every single day and you would have pretty much the same results. This just allows for a little bit more fun foods on these kind of off-scripted weekend days. So this is really where the lifestyle element comes into play and finding what kind of rhythm and pattern works for that particular person. So this is going one step further. So you've got your macros, you've got your calories. How do I actually get those in the day? Well, for most people, protein is the hardest one to fit in. So that's the one that we need to prioritize most. And most people do really well if they kind of do this in 4 meals, or say 3 meals and 2 snacks is a great way to do this. So if I'm going to have 4 meals today, or 3 meals and 2 snacks, how am I going to divide this up? So each meal needs to be about 500 calories to hit my goal of 2,000 calories. If my goal is 145 grams of protein, I need to get 36 grams of protein per meal. And if I'm going to have that in a snack, it needs to be about 17 grams of protein in each of those 2 snacks. If I have 180 carbs, again, this one doesn't have to be completely even across the board because it's usually easy to fill up on carbs. They're easy to find, right? So if you're low at the end of the day, which doesn't happen too often for people, dried mango is an easy way to get in a bunch of carbs last minute. So don't have to divide this one up super, super well, but it is nice to have a consistent amount through the day. So if I wanted to do that by 4 meals, simple math, divide by 4, 45 grams of carbs at most meals. For fat, about 13 grams per meal. Again, this one you can kind of piece together. It's really easy to go over fat, so it is kind of good to be mindful of like 13-ish grams per meal is a good place to be, but you can absolutely, let that fluctuate a little bit. Only caveats here that you would want to maybe pay attention to is, if we go down here to the macro Tetris one, is you can plan this yourself. So you put in your goals up here. So again, if I want 2,000 calories for the day, I want 145 grams protein, 180 carb, 52 for fat, and then I can plug in here. So I'm going to hit 40 grams of protein for my breakfast. That's what I recommend for most women. Guys a little bit larger because they're larger frame, more muscle mass, so they'd probably be closer to 50 or 60 grams of protein for the day. But I can type that in. So if I plan using my Chronometer app to get 50 grams of protein for breakfast, then that takes the pressure off. Maybe I don't even need this snack because I'm going to get more at breakfast. So I actually still hit that if I have 50 grams at breakfast. So here you can kind of punch in how you're going to spread out your day. So maybe this breakfast is my post-workout meal. So I'm actually going to have a lot more carbs, and this is going to be a bigger meal for me. This is just an example. But that way you can still get close to your goals. When we do have macros, like I said earlier, we don't need to be perfect about hitting them perfectly. It's on the average. So most days of the week, we need to be close to this. And this is set so it will turn green. So yay, good job. If you are within plus or minus 10 grams of your protein, plus or minus 10 grams of your carbs. You're doing really well if you're getting in that window range. Fat, about 5 grams, plus or minus, you're doing good. So don't need to be perfect, but we need to be within those ranges. So, so this is how you can kind of play around with it, see how this fits. If you prefer a bigger dinner, by all means, you can stack it there. But here are some tips to the side here, what I typically recommend when you're trying to make this fit and shuffle about. And again, take out those snacks. If you're not the snacker type, make those meals bigger, or build up the snacks if you prefer to eat small and often. If you don't have a breakfast, I don't usually recommend that for people because again, it makes these other meals in the day a lot larger. And I just tend to see people not do quite as well when they don't have breakfast or they full on take out a meal. So hopefully this was helpful. Next up, we will talk about how to utilize equations to determine your calorie amount. But I definitely recommend this approach. I do this with clients. I see where they're at, get them to track their body weight. That way we get a very current, real-time picture about what their body's doing with the fuel that they're giving it. All right, if you have any other questions, let me know, but let's go on to the next part.